Hey everybody, it's Glenn, back in this video with Confessions of an eBay-aholic. And recently on eBay I've scooped up this Spider-Man classic Secret Identity Spider-Man from back in 2004. Back then this would have set you back like $6.99. All these years later I snuck in on the auction and won it for a whopping £25. Bit pricey, I know, and for the seller no doubt represents a better investment over the 10 years since its release than say putting your money in the bank. But then when you think my local Toys R Us is currently selling Marvel Legends for $22.99, and suddenly the price I paid doesn't seem too bad. Looking at the packaging back, and other figures in this series were Ultimate Rhino, Cyber Spider-Man, and Black Costume Spider-Man. And here is Spider-Man out of packaging, and it's a pretty classic looking Spidey. For comparison, here it is on the left alongside the Spider-Man from the Marvel Legends Infinite series Hobgoblin Wave. That one's certainly my favourite Spidey of recent times. Sure, this old Spidey Classics one doesn't hold a candle to the newer one, but then this older Spidey is the appetizer to me. Spider-Man Classics was made by Toy Biz alongside their Marvel Legends, and considered by many, including myself, as a sister line to Marvel Legends. So the articulation is reminiscent of that you'd get from Legends. So for instance, the shoulder rotates and the arm hinges up, upper arm rotation, then the articulation becomes less of what you get with Legends, seen here in a single jointed elbow instead of a double jointed one, and at the wrist just rotation and no hinge. But the scrimping on articulation here is probably to allow Toy Biz to budget for the interchanging of parts, which for me is the main course when it comes to this one. So let's tuck in and transform Spidey back into his secret identity, now to wrestle Peter Parker's civvies over the action figure. These are made of a soft, somewhat stretchy rubber. That's often not a material that ages well, so I'm handling it with kid gloves, so to speak. Nice to see that his jeans have some shading applied to them. If you're familiar with Marvel mashers on toy shelves today, then really this is the same concept, except with sense and logic. Here are Peter's arms. You can see they've sculpted details of the web shooters around his wrist and onto his palm. Let's now plug those into the shoulder, and we also need to plug in Peter's lower legs. And finally, let's decapitate poor Spidey. And here's the Peter Parker head that we'll be replacing it with. For an accessory, he comes with a backpack that fits over his arms. Honestly, I'm not too sure about the backpack. I'd imagine Peter would be carrying maybe a camera and a notebook, those kind of things. But here, the backpack's so big, he looks like he's gonna go spend the week hiking in the woods. The rubber jeans do inhibit a bit of the articulation of the legs under there, but Peter's arms have all the articulation we saw with the Spider-Man arms. Sure, it could be more articulated, but enough is there for a basic web shooting pose. So I admit it's not the greatest Spider-Man action figure, and certainly not the perfect Peter Parker one either, but the sum of the whole is greater than its parts, and it's two figures for the price of one, which eases the pain of me having coughed up £25 for it. But can you imagine 10 years ago paying just $6.99 for this? Somebody please make me a time machine, and also make it big enough so I can load it up with action figures to bring them back to the future. Sure, with Hasbro all these years later we're still getting Marvel Legends, but nothing like Spider-Man Classics that crosses markets and toes the line so perfectly between playability and collectability. And I don't think it's me looking at the past through the rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia, but kids' toys just aren't this good today, right? Anyway, for more classic Spider-Man action figures, click the video on the right for the Spider-Sense Spider-Man. As ever, I sure would appreciate it if you could give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.